And there we go. Well, you know what? Go live now. Title is empty. Oh, they try to fuck us over though, even with what we do on Podomatic. Like we've totally ended all affiliation with that outfit, unfortunately. They're based out of San Francisco, and really that I hate to generalize or stereotype, but that does say a lot as far as their level of tolerance is concerned. They could care less for freedom of speech. They just want, you know, politically correct speech, and that's as far as it goes, unfortunately. So let's see, Mr. Anderson, number 41, go live now. Come on, bitches. Ready to go. Oh, it's a Google Hangout too. Okay, events. Stream now. Hang on. Try this again. So an event is different than a stream, apparently, is what they're telling us here, I guess. I'm not. Do you know about that?
I do. Yeah.
You fucking assholes. Oh, no. It's trying. It's trying.
Google Hangouts. If you have a secure connection, if you have a secured link that you have shared with only the people that you're going to have on a panel, generally, it holds. It didn't tonight. If you have a secure connection, if you have a secured link that you have shared with only the people that you're going to have on a panel, generally.
Okay, well, it looks like what we're having happen here on the one hand is Kaiser is now streaming us, I guess, because he's part of. Well, yeah, we're together here in Skype. Kaiser, do you want to just drop in for a few moments? I think he's still here with us on Skype, so he can kind of update listeners. Although I'd kind of like to adjust things even further on the fly if we can manage.
Hi, matey. I saw the big fat belly of the beast coming at us, and what I did was I just grabbed a hold of another few planks and moved some things around, and so now we're on swordpoint9 on YouTube live streaming.
Good job.
Would you mind putting that in the chat so people can move over? Or
if I knew how to, I would, man. I'm trying to figure out how. Do I just copy? Hold on. Do I copy and paste
there you go.
The bottom part?
You're a mod.
Okay.
Just put it right in the chat right now.
Copy.
God, what a
coincidence. I'm going to the chat right now. So
yeah. Sons and Daughters of Liberty already did it. They've done it there twice. So that's, in fact, the link I clicked on, and that's how I checked it out. It's like, oh, he's doing it. It's like,
yeah, I as soon as I saw the problem, man, I started trying to hit something, and it still went like 13 minutes, I think, before I got it successful set up. So anyways, I'm going to let you guys keep talking. I'm going to let you guys keep talking.
Can you believe that? Kaiser, can you believe that? Just as soon
as you were talking about Dugway, yes, that's what.
Shut down.
As soon as I saw that happen, it started spinning and it went down.
Oh my god!
And I was like, "You guys saw it was down," and as soon as you saw it, you said it, and I was like, I was about to tell you guys this, so that's what happened. But yeah, like I said, folks. It's going live right there.
Yes.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna have to go over to my page and monitor everything over there. You guys are welcome to come over. I don't know if you guys have permissions to monitor, but you keep up in the chat. I'm gonna put myself off, and that way it's still your show, Jaffe. I'm just hosting it for you, brother. Oh, now I'm getting a spinny thing. I guess I shouldn't have said Dugway.
Well, it was Dugway. It was tactical nuclear weapons. It was biological. It was the designated nation.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you were talking, I mean, tactical nuclear weapons.
That was exactly when we went down. I'll tell you what, it's just stunning to me.
Well, no, where it was, I'll tell you.
It was the VX gas. It was the VX gas when it happened.
Sure. Whatever.
The gas shack business? It was right before that.
No, it was when he was talking about Dugway with VX gas is when it happened. Folks, let me know if this goes down because I'm spinning and I'm going to cut out again.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, we can all hear each other here, but as far as the live stream on what we set up here on via Pirate Radio Podcast, forget it. It says it's starting. It's a gray button. It's just not much really happening. Kaiser has his thing going on, and that's great. But we're just going to have to improvise, I think, really, and cobble together. It's unfortunate. Let's just try to carry on the best way that we can here and make the most of the time that we have left to talk about a few other things, including. Now, I know you were going on about. We talked about Discord a little bit. The Proton Mail. Speaking of DDoS and all that kind of good stuff, computer hacking.
Did you look into that? Distributed. It's a distributed, directed, massive attack on servers. They think of it as just being massively spammed, and then it just shuts it. Your server becomes so overwhelmed it just shuts it down. Wow, that's interesting. I see a whole new chat coming up here now. Nobody's there.
Oh, that would probably be swordpoint9, I guess, with Kaiser, I'm guessing. But DDoS and Proton Mail, they got hit really in a big way. Of course, they're based out of Switzerland, speaking of the Swiss and so forth. So maybe one of your, not exactly fellow countrymen, but distant ancestors, or maybe a few of them involved in that particular operation, which I guess there's a big emphasis, of course, on encryption and online privacy. So that being the sort of thing that the powers that be cannot stand for, can they? That's why they love platforms such as Facebook, because of how open things are there. Even the so-called, what you are led to believe are private exchanges and chats, that's really not the case at all, the messaging, so. But yeah, that was a big issue just this past week. And you use Proton Mail yourself, do you?
I do now, yes.
How long is that?
A lot of different ones.
How long have you been using Proton Mail?
About the first time I sent you one. I don't know, what was that, like 3 weeks ago? And then I used it in conjunction with DuckDuck, per your recommendation. I've loved both of them ever since. The trouble is how I roll, so to speak. I use all platforms. I have to deal with all of them: Yahoo, Outlook, Apple, Google, and they all hate each other. See, so I have comm issues regularly, but I'm eventually planning on all consolidating all of that over there on DuckDuck. I think that's an excellent way to go, and with Proton at some point. But here again, they like to use an encryption key that is not really using a password that you would normally use. For example, if you log on, you're asked for a password. Well, they use a different method where it's sent electronically, and then to another device, you approve of that using a particular number, and that it's their security key. So they don't communicate with Proton at all. But I'll get it figured out. I like the idea of two-way encryption.
Two-way encryption.
Correct.
So that there's basically two layers of there's
ingoing and outgoing. You know this, don't you?
No, I mean, from a technical standpoint, forget it. Hardly. I can really not offer too much on that front, unfortunately.
It's incoming and outgoing. They encrypt incoming email and they encrypt outgoing email.
Well, it makes sense, and that's great.
It sure does, doesn't it?
Yeah. As far as, once again, my take on that, just to kind of basically guessing the way things operate, that once again, outlets such as the NSA or whoever, if they really want to keep an eye on what it is that you're, because they seem to have such a real fetish for metadata, and just any little thing they have to collect and store in Utah, I think, is one of the places. So it's interesting we are talking to you right now.
There's a major facility in Draper, and I don't think I even want to go into that because I already know that I'm targeted.
Oh, why is that?
Well, probably for what just happened. Start talking about things, they shut you down. That happens to me all of the time, Jeffy.
Oh, really? Can you give us some other examples then?
Well, just today, and it's really sad. It's like I'm picked on because I'm actually a small potato. You know, what do I have? Like 300 and something subscriptions on YouTube. I have a little bit of influence here and there. But what I think that some of the alphabet gangs have identified me as an influencer, perhaps. Because it's like I told you. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say we're back.
Yeah,
on this, and we're finally back.
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay, with this so-called, what some would view as an influencer of sorts, Mr. Anderson, 51, with a crunchy chair there. I'm not sure what kind of seating arrangement you've got exactly, but yeah, just might want to be a lot of
a crunchy seat. Okay,
yeah,
I'll try and hold
a lot
still,
of
okay?
twisting and turning and scraping. That's one thing.
No, it's the microphone. I'll go ahead and just put the microphone down, okay? Microphone drop. Have you ever heard that? Mic drop?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I'll just go ahead and mic drop that thing down in there, and we will hopefully let the show go on, yes?
Yeah, the show will go on.
Do you want me to keep simulcasting, or do you want me to shut mine down? Everybody come back to, if they are on the hold on one second, I gotta do this. If they are on my YouTube, I'll let them know that they're gonna have to come back over here to type and everything if you want me to shut down my thing. Or if not, just come back here to type because the show is back up.
Just keep it streaming along. Might as well, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. So let's just run with what we got here.
Cool.
Try to limp our way through the rest of.
We're not limping. We are not going quietly into the night either.
I'm not sure why we're back online now. It seems like a very temperamental YouTube in conjunction with OBS and Skype, of course. So. And let's not forget the politically incorrect speech thrown into the mix. These are the sort of results that you end up with. So we do have our slideshow, of course, running here with Mr. Anderson 51 this week. Episode number 114. I'm your host, as always, Jaffe Ryder. We have Kaiser for performing a real yeoman service up there in the Crow's Nest this week. He's only going to be around for the next couple shows, if that, really, hoping that we can maybe squeeze in a couple more midweek streams as well too. Let's not forget, Mr. Anderson,
yes, sir.
We've kind of actually got you along with Drew in mind as far as potential candidates who might be able to step up to the plate and help basically carry on from where it is that Kaiser will be leaving things at as far as co-hosting.
I don't know that I could feel such shoes.
No, everyone's got their
boots.
Everyone's got their own unique personality and special skill set.
After I heard him mostly, I heard his guest mostly, but it takes a man's man, okay, to declare truth, to become emotionally and impassioned about spreading that truth to other people. It takes a special kind of person. And I listened to the soldier break down, declaring his devotion to the Marine Corps, to his brothers, and I'm not going to break down, I don't think, but I was moved. It was powerful, and by God, people, you need to watch that, or listen to it, I should say, watch it, whatever. I have a new degree of respect. I already had respect, but that was an utterly stunning outpouring of emotion and truth.
Kaiser can maybe add that link if he likes, or anyone else, of course, too, to the stream, the YouTube chat area that we got here. Close to half a dozen people once again joining us here as we reboot things and try to continue the conversation here for the next let's say 45 minutes approximately, no more than that, just because mostly we had the technical difficulties. Who knows how it's all going to turn out.
You know what? But they're not going to stop us. They're not going to stop us. This is a podcast. It is all being recorded, right? You're going to rebroadcast it on all of your links that are in the stream, and they will not shut us down. People that enjoy freedom, that enjoy personal liberty, we the people, we will continue to resist. You can count on it. Sorry, I had to go off on a rant there.
Yeah, and that's where we find things like silent weapons for invisible wars, or how is it phrased? Invisible weapons for silent wars, vaccinations, the 5G. I'm not sure if you refer to it, or if it's known as the control and command grid, or it's a kill grid of sorts, where that's got me worried to a large extent with respect to things like the lethargy, which I'm often finding myself suffering from, unfortunately, and all kinds of just various symptoms, including, people talk about, like, I was listening to the Joe Rogan show just the other day, and they were discussing, Joe was going on about how, we're almost gotten to the point now where we'll be able to, basically he was talking about people's programming, or was it programming people? Well, the point that he was missing out on was that you can have actually thoughts planted in your brain or mind to the extent where you don't even realize where they're coming from exactly. You're losing all sense of, and not clear on, well, whose thoughts are these? Am I really responsible for these? Where are they coming from? And so on and so forth. So I'm not really managing to get my head wrapped around that one as well as I'd hope, but can you maybe get a sense of what I'm getting at there?
I know exactly what you're talking, like what Christina Taft was involved.
MK Ultra, she's constantly going on about that. She's far more of an expert than I am. I've not written any books or documentaries or what have you, but yeah, that kind of deal. So
tell me what more do you want me to go on? I don't want your stream to get jacked again and everything, but I've got much more material. If you don't mind, I would suggest people go ahead and look on my channel, my YouTube channel, before it gets taken down. Look at my blogs. Those links are in the chat.
Absolutely. Great blogs.
Check out my material. There is some very interesting things going on out here in Utah. They have a spaceport. They've had some very, very interesting programs that's gone on in the transition between Area 51 and to the area that I call Area 52. Did anyone know that there was a spaceport out here in Utah? Well,
some of our listeners are probably aware of that. What I'm doing right now actually is sharing the link here with the listeners to your blog, the journey -inthecameraeye.com.
Yeah, you got it. I see it.
You betcha. And as well, let's not forget, we can find Mr. Anderson 51 over on minds.com. As with most of our guests, that's just the way it works here, folks. So few of the people that we manage to connect with come to us via Facebook. We'd like to have a few more connections established via Twitter, but isn't that something that there's just much more of a something like a connection once again taking place via Minds as opposed to Facebook, where we just do not we don't seem to be speaking the same language or on the same level, as if we're coming at things from two completely different perspectives and worlds, really.
Essentially, Jaffe, it's the higher ups, the Illuminati. It's the whatever acronym you want to associate with it. There are people out there that control. They try and control everything. We call them the Bilderberg group. Call them whatever you want, but they are attempting to control us.
Well, you've heard the term full spectrum dominance, haven't you? Hashtag FSD, full spectrum dominance.
It's a military term, of course.
There you go. That's what it's all about, as far as I can tell. It's not that complicated, and they wage war and attack on the world's populations on all fronts: water, air, food, television programming, cultural content and programming. You name it. There's nothing that does not evade or escape their reach or interest.
Correct. Their plan is to take over the world. They want to reduce the population, want to control political, geopolitical, and economics in all nations. And I, for one, will not stand idly by while this happens. I've served my country. I've taken the oath, just like Jaffe was alluding to with his Dr. Dr. Fraser, was it?
Dr. Fetzer with Kaiser.
Yes, thank you. Yes, there's an oath that some of us have taken, and perhaps they don't really understand. I took that oath. Well, nobody ever relieved me of that oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States from all enemies, both foreign and domestic. Nobody ever relieved me of that. I am still under oath, and I will honor that oath.
Yeah, I guess you're the only one who can do that, presumably. Nobody else can force you to surrender or
I say,
nullify.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. There are 170 million firearms out there. Pick up your gun, for Christ's sake, if necessary, and defend the homeland, if necessary. But the thing is right now we are at a crucial point. What we need to do is gather and solidify and consolidate and unite all of us right now while we have the numbers. Because, again, they want to reduce our numbers. They want to depopulate. They want to take away our guns and our freedoms. But they will not be successful when there are so many, if we can unite everyone, that is, so many people united against what they're trying to do.
Pirate Joe Emanon talking about, we were suggesting different ways of maybe having the live stream derailed once again. Pirate Joe Emanon commenting on how for sale weapons grade fissile material delivery can be arranged. For sale weapons grade, one more time, people, fissile material delivery can be arranged. So I'm sure he's totally serious about that comment as well, too, right?
Well, he probably ought to be careful. He might have men in black come and visit him. It's very, very difficult to obtain weapons grade fissionable material. So we won't go there. You'll get your stream jacked again.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about then if we
never did get to the bears and anything fun. We've been talking.
Yeah. But hey, minds.com too. You've been there since the inception or origins, pretty much, of the network. You're one of the ground floor initial investors too, are you not?
I am an investor. I have had rapport with Bill and the Ottmans, and I propose that everyone should get on minds.com. Get yourself established there. Learn what open source means and protect it with all you're worth.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that open source means to me right now is the fact that you could have a whole lot of Vietnamese people, or at least those who appear to be people, real, actual, live persons, join in to the network and suddenly take over everything to the point now where we see all the feature groups being completely dominated by Vietnamese content. Have you noticed that?
I have.
Just the last week, it's crazy.
It is not crazy. It's normal.
Well, it
is crazy. You're right, of course. Why is that happening? I don't know. It has to do with servers. I don't know why they're allowing their servers to do that. It's fine. It's a free platform. Get on there, everybody. It's open source.
The thing about it, though, is what I'm curious to know is who is making the decision to showcase each of these groups as so-called feature groups. I thought that was up to Bill, basically, who had asked a while ago which groups he wanted to feature.
You could call it marketing. Right now, they're in a transitional phase. Sorry, they're trying to get their platform up and running and be able to compete with some of these other organizations. I'll leave it at that, and don't trigger me. And I wish them well. I will support them in anything that they attempt to do. That's what freedom is all about, Jaffe. So that we can make our own choices and live by those decisions. I mean, that's what America is about. We, the people, we were established to form a more perfect union, that we would have certain unalienable rights. Among those, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I mean, that's what I want. And that's what I would hope that everyone else would want as well. Because I'm telling you, things are going to get worse. And if you're not prepared, one day the lights will go out. And the next thing you do, if you're not prepared, you're going to find yourself in a FEMA camp. And you've got nobody to blame but yourself because you were unprepared. Okay, I'm going off on a tangent here. Settle down.
Well, it is, as in Canada, they say, "Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee." And that's one of the things that I'm constantly troubled by is the fact of how the current head of state, Prime Minister Trudeau, seems to be adopting this open doors policy when it comes to immigration. Very liberal,
I hate to keep cutting you off, but every single time I see that guy, his face, I bust up laughing. I'm sorry. Sorry. He just has one of those faces, you know?
Well, there is some speculation, too, that he is actually the bastard son of Fidel Castro.
Oh man. Okay, you went there. I didn't. I just laugh at him every time I see his picture. But yeah, there's some issues there.
It's believable, though, too, because of the philandering ways and history that his mother had back during her days partying with the Rolling Stones.
Which mother?
1970s. Maggie Trudeau. She's actually historically she's a Sinclair, actually. No relation, or is she a relation to the captain? I don't know. Should we have the captain drop by actually and see? We'll ask him personally maybe if he is there is any relationship there. I'm not sure if we can track him down or not, but we can we'll put the message out there. Somebody see if you can track down Captain Sinclair. Yeah, we'll do those right away, so you can do that? Yeah.
It's about that time.
All right. Well, just have to stand by next few minutes, but in the meantime, I'm not sure what other talking points you were going on about a bear just not so long ago. You were off, in fact, in Yellowstone Park with none other than Dabu 7 just a couple weeks ago. How did the trip go?
It went fantastic. The Yellowstone trip was more of okay, we'll hook up here for a day, but our main objective was to head down to Canyonlands That's Canyonlands National Park down near Moab, Utah. We had identified an area of satellite imagery that seemed to indicate some ancient ruins, and we wanted to get some boots on the ground, so to speak, and identify that and see what was there. And it was a brutal, God-forsaken hike. It was 107 degrees later on in the day. We got up at 4:30. That's 4:30 in the morning, and got out there and just hiked our asses off. But oh my gosh, it was amazing. This feature called Upheaval Dome. You should research it if you'd like, your listeners. It is unknown. It's one of those anomalies. I wouldn't put it on the scale of one of the 7 wonders of the world, but nevertheless, it's scientists, geologists, anthropologists. Nobody can identify why this upheaval dome exists. And so we wanted to check it out, and we did find some things, and stay tuned.
Yeah, I saw the video that you shot, actually, of the grizzly who was not too far from where you were located. I would have been very much on edge. You ran directly at the bear. You charged the bear rather than waiting for it to come at you. Is that what you were telling us earlier?
Well, we're just a couple of underground world nerds. We run toward action, okay? Not away from it. I say that with the tongue in cheek, but we wanted to get some footage, and we did it cautiously. But you just God love us, God help us too, because I don't know of too many people that run toward a young grizzly bear. I was concerned about the mama bear, because I know full well if you mess with the cubs of a grizzly mama, you are going to die. That the grizzly mama will just come and tear you up. But it was an adrenaline moment, and we got it on camera there, and it was a good time. We also caused a terrible traffic jam too.
Were you carrying bear mace? Did you have rifles or revolvers of any sort?
I don't think I'd like to comment on that.
Well, most of the time when I would go out into the bush in Canada, I'd certainly have a rifle by my side, or bear mace.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. Yeah.
Sure. So, and this is Yellowstone Park. Now, there is one of the photos that we've actually added to the slideshow. There was around 20 or so, I guess is what you told us, you uploaded to Discord. Unfortunately, because we weren't able to get a zip file and just having to deal with time issues, we were not able to add them to the slideshow for this week. But one of the pictures
that's okay. That's okay, because I suspect that Kaisers apparently going to perhaps be deployed here imminently, and maybe we could show some of those pictures some other time.
One of the snapshots that we do have here, though, reads U.S. Department of the Interior, Utah, Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico, 1992 Cadastral Survey, Bureau of Land Management. Where did you I'm assuming that you took that shot. Where was that picture taken? I
am not gonna say.
Well, it looks like it's at the corner of where the four states meet. It's as simple as that.
That is exactly where it is. And now that you mention it, I'm going to have to declare that that is Wikipedia content, and I'm affiliated quite heavily with Wikipedia, but that is Wikipedia's content, and there you have it. Yes, Wikipedia. That's a little plaque there of the Four Corners area there between Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, and Arizona.
Colorado.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, it looks like we're just getting a update here in the earplugs here that we have running off of the headphones. And it sounds like, if we're not mistaken, that maybe we've actually got a special visitor joining us here who goes by the name of Captain Long John Sinclair. He too is out. I'm not sure if he's up in the crow's nest necessarily or where.
Just taking a stroll here along the beaches, Jaffe, of Skullport Harbor, listening to this week's show, 114, with Mr. Anderson. It's really quite something. Yeah, Maggie Sinclair, no, a distant relation. We tend not to associate too much with that side of the family, though. They really, I'm not sure who the black sheep really are, whether it's us or them, really, but quite some embarrassing behavior, though, on her part. Running around with the Rolling Stones, Fidel Castro philandering behind Pierre's back. No idea what the reality of the matter, the truth of things is, but yes, it's good you picked up on that. So, Mr. Anderson, though, you personally don't think too highly of the Prime Minister, though, yourselves. All right, what's the issue exactly?
I think he can go and fuck himself. Okay? All right. Aye, Captain.
That's a pretty blunt language there, but, the freedom of speech, all the power to you. So, but that's pretty much it, Jeff. I just thought I'd drop in. It was actually, once again, strolling out here along the beach of Skullport Harbor, feeling the surf and the wind, of course. So, quite a relaxing day. Still pretty much extended shore leave. We got to put this week's show together, technical difficulties and all. Doing the best to make the most of things. Doing a great job there, my boy. Thank you, Captain. Much appreciated. I think I'm going to pretty much, though, sail on out of here and talk to you another time.
Okay, Captain. Tally-ho.
Tally-ho.
All right, and there he goes. That's Captain Long John Sinclair. We haven't heard from him for a while now. He does drop in, though, from time to time. And it's always a pleasure to speak to him. Yeah, there's something strange going on there. I'm not sure if... Did you get much of an idea what he was getting at there as far as the family connection goes with the Sinclairs?
Your guess is as good as mine. He's the captain. I follow orders. Period.
Well, do you know that Trudeau's mother's name is Margaret Sinclair, and her family lineage is traced directly back to, I believe, someone who is known as Henry Sinclair. I don't know if this is the same character who history knows as Henry the Navigator. I'd have to check up on that. But he was associated with Rosslyn Chapel and the missing Templar fleet. He's a central figure in that whole drama. Henry Sinclair. Are you up to speed on the missing Templar fleet?
I am not, but I am intrigued.
Yeah, I think I'll have to do a little search. Maybe some of the listeners, some of the people that have tuned in, once again, holding tight, nearly half a dozen people dropping by this week. Sons and Daughters of Liberty. We even, in fact, had G.J. Maple, who I don't believe he's been offering a little bit in the YouTube commentary, so that's great. The odd little comment there from time to time. Of course, Pirate Joe Emanon. No Pirate Joe 333 this time around for whatever reason. But we do have Delacroix, who I think last time they talked to us had mentioned that they, in fact, are based out of Ireland. So we're getting folks here dropping in, as you can imagine, from all over the world. It is a worldwide platform where we are potentially able to reach a pretty wide and diverse audience. People sometimes ask us, well, who are your listeners? And the fact of the matter is that it really just varies. Bottom line, though, we've got people tuning in once again from all over the world. And as far as the numbers of people who drop into the show, we've had as many as 30 at one time join us in a live stream, which I know is of no comparison when you look at the numbers outfits such as Dabu 7 managed to attract, so what is it, 10,000, maybe 20,000 live listeners?
Oh, not at all. Not at all. But you're talking about someone that has somewhere around 560,000 combined subscribers, and he is fortunate to get around 1,000 live people on the live stream. He said, of course, more than that, less. I think tonight we had about 700 or 800, and he gets. Well, he gets hit pretty good too. We had a terrible stream tonight. Well, not at points it was good, and other times it was sketchy. It all depended on what we were talking about. Coincidence?
So what kind of setup then does he have there, and what is your role exactly when it comes to the live stream end of things?
I try not to make an ass of myself. I try not to ban people. I'd rather, my instructions are to time them out instead of ban them. Yeah, that's my role essentially. Try and offer a little color commentary upon occasion, but I am just a small fry. I'm a small fry. He's the big honcho there.
All right, just doing a quick search here for the missing pirate fleet, the Knights Templar, and William Sinclair.
They disappeared. That's about all I know about it.
Isn't that something? And there is some speculation that actually, you've heard of the Oak Island treasure, I'd imagine.
Yes,
a lot of people have.
Yes.
There could be some...
maybe.
Now, I might have actually misspoken and said Henry Sinclair. I think it was William Sinclair. Although, let's check this again here. No, it might be... Well, they might have been related too, Henry and William Sinclair. So we'll have to look into that a little more deeply, of course. It'd be great to have an author drop by and join us here at some point and talk to these matters. So, as things turn out, we're actually all booked up for the rest of the year. Which is really great. There's not too many more openings that we find appearing over the course and duration of 2018. But it's always good to have people such as yourself. You're now enjoying, of course, the feature slot here, able to get out to our listeners whatever information you feel is most pressing, whether it's key links. And I know we shared one of your blog URLs just a few moments ago, or different issues that you hold that are near and dear to you. So, but just to recap then, once again, before we do close things off here, we can probably continue along here for the next maybe 10-15 minutes tops, I'd imagine. Some of the links where people can find you. I know you do not have a Facebook account, but your mine's is Mr. Anderson 51.
They suspended my account, and I got it back, and it was just the most amusing thing ever. They suspended my account because I impersonated myself.
How does that work?
I don't know. I laughed hysterically. I don't know. How do what did I talk to myself, or did I send an email to myself? I don't know. But I interacted with them a moment, and I said, well, I'm going to make this a PR issue. and publish some content there, and then just almost immediately they unsuspended it, and then I said, well, yeah, I don't do Facebook anymore.
Yeah, it really is quite lacking, I find, in many ways, and it's slow, it's unresponsive, and since the time it seems that Zuckerberg got hauled up on the carpet there, I guess, before both Congress and the Senate in Washington.
Yes, and that was amusing. Was a Puckerberg. That was a Puckerberg moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, he really zucked up. hashtag Zucked. I've found myself not a single time in Facebook jail since that whole debacle took place. So I'm not sure if they adjusted their algorithms or what, but it seemed like I was getting shut down for sharing. As you can imagine, we have the stream that we have to do, and now it's twice a week with the midweek, the World Pirate Radio News Show, and it's
what was it, for impersonating yourself?
Oh no! You have to share links. We're promoting the show. We're just trying to get the links out there, saying, "Hey,
you didn't have an identity crisis."
No. It's this guest or that guest, and we've got to get the links out there. We got the same as Dabu or anybody else, Alex Jones. They got to share their links. Yeah, but the bottom line seems it's a play to pay. That's what they, pay to play.
You got it.
That's how they want things to operate over there. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if you say it's the same deal via mines, I guess in some ways, but you got your booster points, of course, which you accumulate over time, and that's more course and a matter of engagement. People that vote up content. I like what they're doing.
I like what they're doing, and pardon me for interrupting. It's fantastic. Yes, you are.
It's not them. It's us. It's you and me, and everybody involved, because
Isn't that fantastic? That's fantastic. I love it.
Well, we have much more of a stake in things, as do you, being a Patreon supporter of this show, I should remind people. And we're very much obliged and in gratitude, of course, too. Even though, it's $1 per item of premium content, you should have received recently and gained access to 2 items.
I did, yes.
Working on that a little more kind of proactive fashion. Did you get a chance to listen to them yet?
It's fantastic. I didn't even know the one thing existed, the one podcast thing. It's utterly fantastic, because this is key here. It's different than doing a live stream right here where they can mess around with your stream, shut you down, buffer you, whatever they want to do. See, but you're recording everything. See, and you rebroadcast it on a podcast. It's a fantastic way to stick it to them, if you will.
Speaking of getting having somebody stick it to you, we just got booted again. It looks like the stream has.
Yes, I know, but I just thought I'd just keep rambling on. Yeah, amazing. But we are back on. I don't know.
Well, it's an on again, off again.
It's my fault.
Conversation.
It's my fault, Jeffy.
I think, thankfully, we've still got things going out via Kaiser's channel, so that's great because he's piggybacking.
Isn't that fantastic? No, it's called mirroring. It's my compliments to him to be able to put that together.
Oh, big time. So yeah, people are free then to if they want to add their chat thoughts in the sidebar area here via YouTube, or hop over to Kaiser's channel. Both are completely fine. Up to them how they want to do that. Kaiser, if we got you back up there in the crow's nest, if you want to drop down once again and just join us here, we can maybe hear latest from there.
Aye, matey, I see much fuckery afoot. And when I've seen that, I know that I have to pull all my excess moves to make sure that the truth gets out there from the World Pirate Radio Podcast Network. And it's been a pleasure to hear from Captain Sinclair and from Mr. Anderson and everybody on the channel tonight. It's been such a pleasure.
Well, it's different, of course, and every stream that we put out there is quite unique. And every time we have someone join us here in the spotlight, the feature guest slot and position, it's a unique exchange that we managed to have. So now we've got the after show option coming up here as well quite shortly. I'm not sure, Mr. Anderson, what you have as far as your schedule is concerned. I know it's pretty late out there in Utah, are you in the Eastern time zone? Or Mountain?
No, sir. It's Mountain time. It's what?
11:30?
22:35 here. It's 10:35.
All right. How about that? So, yeah, it's 1:35 here. So that's I look at it as just a 3-hour time difference, basically. Wait a minute. You're out, that's your Pacific Standard Time?
Mountain time zone.
Mountain time.
Well, hold it. Wait a minute.
There's Eastern, Central, Mountain, and then Pacific.
Yeah, but wait a minute. What LA right now? What time is it in LA?
9:35.
Yes.
Well, I'll be. Son of a bitch. We got our times messed up.
I tease you all the time. I ask you, what time's the show? It's the same time it's always.
We got our times mixed up then. It's because 8 o'clock. Well, wait a minute. When we start our stream then at geez, let me get this straight then. Is it 9 o'clock we're starting the stream Pacific Standard Time? How would that work?
No,
I think we screwed it up.
That would be 11.
No, Pacific.
Oh, Pacific time?
It's 1:30 right now. So that would be
9:35. GJ Maple just chimed in on Pacific time, and she would know.
Oh, GJ Maple's a girl too, a female. I didn't realize that. Are they over on Minds.com?
She's trying to put that together. I don't know if she has successfully. She can answer that. She's in my chat right now. But yeah, she's one of the few people that I was able. She said 8 p.m. start her time. She's one of the few people that I was fortunate enough to bring over to the channel, and very good human being. And
let's have her on the after show then.
Sure, we can bring her on, but I don't know if she's on my Skype. I can't remember if she's on Skype or not. She can answer in the chat. If she is, I'll search her.
I'm good for an after show. I just need a break and a drink.
Yeah, we usually take about a 5-minute break and return to log an hour or so of the after show with music and quality conversation. So I'm not sure if there's any just last little thoughts that you'd like to share with listeners, Mr. Anderson.
Absolutely.
It's been a weird one.
Absolutely. Can I take a moment? Everyone.
Floor is yours.
If you ever value anything in your life so much as your freedom, you are about to be tested. You're about to be tested.
Like never before. You're exactly right, Mr. Anderson.
So you better be prepared. For God's sakes, at least get yourself a little bit of water and some food. I believe that it's going to occur with a lights out type of situation. They're going to kill the power, and it's going to be difficult for a time. But it won't be quite so difficult if you're prepared and if you're in a community of like-minded people. Don't think that you can just solo this out or head to the hills. Be smart about it. Talk to your neighbors. I was astonished when I started to talk to my neighbors in my neighborhood where I'm here. It was amazing. Lots of food storage, lots of weapons. And you know what? If they come to try and take their guns, they better bring a lot of them blue helmets. It makes a great sight picture.
Exactly.
Okay, and what makes you then say this and reach this conclusion that there's going to be a major event in the not too distant future?
Because that's their plan. They want to reduce the world's population down to about 3 to 5 million.
Yeah, according to the Georgia Guidestones, correct?
Correct.
Right.
Okay, and when's the event going to be taking place? Much along the lines of what we saw back in September of 2001, a major catalytic event which was seized upon, as always, by the powers that be in order to further promote their political agenda. We see this played out time and time again.
God, almost every week.
Under the sun.
Mr.
Well,
A,
in some fashion, sure.
Mr. A, can I answer this real quick for a second? Just a
You
couple
may.
seconds. Look, Jaffe, one time I think we were offline, and I told you this. I said, in America, we're in a cold civil war right now. We've never been more divided, even during the original Civil War. The problem is the Civil War now is neighbor and neighbor. There's no North and South. There's no dividing line. There's not a Mason-Dixon line. And
Correct.
so what you're seeing is we're now in a cultural civil war. We have escalated. And
Correct.
that's a problem too, because there are many liberals that I can disagree with but still have a conversation because they're good men and women. But the problem is there's a shift in the left, and if you want to see how it's rolling, look at something called the cultural dark web, and or the intellectual dark web. I'm sorry, I just mispronounced because I was saying cultural. The intellectual dark web, and what you'll see are the type of people that you can still have a conversation with, but the lunatic left, you can't, because they hate Trump. And there are people that are liberals that hate Trump, but they don't have the derangement syndrome to where they hate everybody who voted for him. And that's the dividing line, because they don't purity spiral out on the left-hand side. They do not purity spiral out to be able to check every box, because they still have common sense. They may own guns. They may still think there's people that are conservatives they can still talk to. Well, with this new intolerant left, they throw even those liberals to the side. And that's why the intellectual dark web has been a valuable resource, because there's still some talking. So I'm hoping the cultural, or in the cultural civil war, I'm hoping the intellectual dark web wins.
Correct. And it has to do with numbers. Numbers. We need to unite peacefully without weapons. We won't need to use the weapons if we can have the numbers.
Yep.
Speaking of unification and numbers, it is interesting, the old expression, politics making for strange bedfellows, the alliance that we see having taken place with the Muslims in many cases, the Islamic lobby and interests, and then in conjunction with the so-called lunatic left, as Kaiser put it, the cultural Marxists and so forth. Have you noticed that, Mr. Anderson?
Well, there's a lot of things that I noticed, but there's one good thing about being out here in the West, in Montana, Utah, Idaho. I dare you sons of bitches to come and get our guns. I dare you.
Well, yeah, they're going to be thinking twice in going about trying to pull that one off.
A Japanese commander, I think, made a comment to the emperor about taking over America, something along the lines. Help me out,
There'll be a rifle
Kaiser,
and a man
behind
every blade of grass.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a well-known meme, I guess, and purported quote. Although, things have gotten to the point now where, I was just thinking about this the other day. I think it was William Colby, although who even knows if it really was William Colby that actually said this, having to do with, essentially, we will know we will have accomplished our mission when the American public, everything they hold to be true is in fact the opposite. So essentially turning the world of truth completely on its head. So what people believe to be true is false, and false is true.
And right now they're trying to do it racially. They're trying to do it racially right now.
And
identity politics.
And ideologically. And that's why I said on the right you have the racial purity spiral, and on the left, in all honesty, I'm going to be very frank with you, you have the purity spiral of you don't agree with everything. You're look, I was talking to a brother of mine tonight, and I mean this. He's a homosexual.
Are we still live, by the way?
Yeah, we're still live. Yeah,
sure are live.
Okay,
and he's a homosexual. But
I'm going to take a break, so
okay,
continue.
that's cool. He's homosexual, but the thing is, he doesn't put that stuff out there, and he actually is a Republican, and he didn't even want to vote for Trump, but he couldn't stomach voting for Hillary, and because of that action, he was thrown out of most of his friends. He's a veteran and also a operator, so I honor him, you know. I'm not going to mention his name or nothing, but I know who he is. He's a good man. I don't give a shit what you do in your bedroom. I don't think any conservative anymore believes that. Same with the abortion debate. These are all fraudulent debates that they keep throwing at people. And it's just a divide on ideological lines, on sexual lines, racial lines. The problem is they have so whipped up certain races that there is going to be a natural counterstroke to that. But then you now have even Black Lives Matter. There was a black guy at some rally or something, and he was a liberal, and Antifa was saying he wasn't black enough. And that's where cultural Marxism comes in. It's really bizarre. Excuse me, Jaffe.
Utterly bizarre. What I find most interesting, especially on top of all the identity politics, cultural Marxism, and the like, is how it seems there's such an emphasis put on racial issues, all at the expense of discussing or focusing on wealth and income disparities between rich and poor. How so much of this really, when it comes right down to it, with respect to the ruling class and the, as some would have it, proletariat and so forth, it's those are the dividing lines, really. It's a question of the wealth that you have at your disposal. Some people not even able to barely, if they're lucky, cover the rent, let alone provide any sort of means or necessities for their families, children, food, clothing, all that sort of thing. So just that's one of the things I'm constantly reminded of, and I wish it's too many, not enough commentators who, I guess, when it comes, once again, you look at the picture and you start poking around in their backgrounds, you discover that they're actually longtime CIA assets, these mockingbirds in the mainstream media. But yeah, they don't talk about this because really what that does is it shines a light on these economic and wealth disparities and the injustices that occur on those lines. It's, I guess, something that really, the powers that be, with the way they got the agenda rolled out, they don't want people thinking about these sort of things. Rather, we just, I guess, emphasize racial differences or the sexual gender pronoun agenda, that whole business. So, which for me, that's one of the reasons I like Jordan Peterson, actually, because he's taken a stand and is a well-known figure.
And he's a member of the intellectual dark web. And that's what I'm saying. He's a classical liberal. You can still have a conversation with those. You know a person that I consider a classical liberal because we've talked to him on a show and an after show. I'm not going to mention his name. He's a good man, and I respect him. And he already knows that. And
well, if you're not going to mention his name, then it makes it, for me,
because he's in the chat. You know who he is. He's in the chat.
I have no idea. There's like what people mean by liberals in the first place. Anyways,
Pirate Joe. That's all I'll say.
Oh, Pirate Joe. Yeah, sure. I mean, big deal.
And he's a good man. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah. I mean, sure.
But he is a good man, and we can still have a good conversation. We disagreed within that chat, but it didn't make me think ill of him, and I don't think it made him think ill of me. And that's what I mean about this. That was America. When I grew up, I'll tell you what America was. America was a place where nobody ever said, that's a Democrat, don't talk to him. That's a Republican, don't talk to him. And or her. And that's what we now no longer have, because they've been able to drive that wedge so deeply And now we're even looking at a more pressing threat of the Chinese, who have become military expansionists. And they're in Africa. If you don't believe that, check it out. Go that. And if you don't believe that they now own the Panama Canal, and only military-age people are deployed, men, by the way, are deployed to both Africa and the Panama Canal. So that's a fact, and we built the Panama Canal. So just something to chew on, but I don't want to make this that kind of issue. I wasn't trying to do that to your show, Jaffe. I'm just telling you my thoughts on this.
I'm back, by the way.
Yeah, okay, well, that's great timing because we've got to head out now, and we'll try to get an after show archived as well. We've, as always, covered a lot of ground here, folks. It's been a really quite a weird one. For,
it's always a good time.
It's, but I think we managed to recover quite nicely, thanks in no small part to Kaiser and the technical assistance that he offered. So we're going to have a patchwork of streams cobbled together here. I know I'm going to focus with my end of things here, the post-production, getting something together where we can then add it to the archive.org account that we have in place. Once again, no longer affiliated in any formal sense with Podomatic, still waiting for them to get their act together. Speaking of not only the intellectual dark web, but the lunatic left and the like, which you find more often than not based out of places such as the San Francisco Bay Area. But yeah, that about does it. We're going to be back next week with episode 115, Sons and Daughters of Liberty. Don't forget to check out our World Pirate Radio News midweek news stream. This will be, I guess, show number 15. Hopefully we'll have Kaiser drop by and join us there for that as well. If you enjoyed what we put together here today, we got a tip jar that we've set aside here, folks, that you can contribute to via either Patreon or straight up donations through PayPal, $5, $10, $20, $50. Depends how generous you're feeling. It helps to fuel this enterprise and keep things running along smoothly here, as well as the fact that we do redistribute half of everything we manage to set aside for charity. That's a good thing. And I think one of the things that attracted Mr. Anderson to what it is that we've got put together here, I know he didn't have a chance to address that head on during the conversation here, but just throwing that out there for listeners. Maybe there's some other people out there who think that's a pretty good idea as well too. So until we meet again out on the high digital seas, and I'm sure I'm forgetting a thing or two here before we wrap, but we're just going to have to keep things moving along. Listeners can even maybe hear that we've got a little bit of reconstruction and repairs taking place here on the lower decks. So busy here as always, though, folks. Back next week with episode 115, Sons and Daughters of Liberty. Until we meet again out in the high digital seas, I'm your host, as always, the ship's Chief Communication Officer, Jaffe Ryder, bidding you adieu on behalf of the ship's crew, Captain Long John Sinclair, Kaiser Schuff, and everyone else that helped out with this week's really wacky and bizarre live stream. Tally ho.
I know. There we be. Having carefully looked over each of our navigation panel instruments, checking every level, switch, dial, cable, knob, and pulley, by all accounts and indications, we indeed see it's time once again